Hey, Dixon, and today, Caitlin Clark is under the umbrellas. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, I heard that it's your first time at Augusta National. So what are the impressions so far?
Oh gosh, I mean, like, this is a place that's on literally everyone's bucket.
I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do the next day. So maybe play some golf. I think that's what I'm going to do until it gets too cold in Indiana. So I got that. I'll become a professional.
I think, like, you see it on TV, but when you actually get here, it's a completely different experience. So beautiful. Like, wherever you look, it's like a postcard. It's amazing. I think the one thing that you can't tell on TV is the hills. Like, you can't really prepare for that. My legs were a little sore yesterday, but, I mean, it's just unreal. It's perfect,
That's
honestly.
Your preseason workout.
Yes, exactly. Getting my legs back in shape.
There you go. Yeah, what did you do? I walked the golf course.
Yeah, that's how I got back.
When Caitlin Clark walked into Augusta National, she wasn't wearing sneakers or preparing to drop 40 points. She was just another guest among thousands at the Masters. But as cameras followed her every move and her interview clips started circulating online, it quickly became clear she wasn't just there to watch. She was about to take center stage in a very different way. Known for her fierce presence on the basketball court, Caitlin showed fans something entirely unexpected. The side of her that laughs at herself, gets nervous in new environments, and nerds out over golf gear like the rest of us. It was raw, honest, and instantly viral. In an age where every move is measured, Caitlin showed up not to perform, but to experience. And that authenticity hit harder than any highlight reel. From joking about preseason hill training to talking nerves, merchandise, and mental health, Caitlin Clark's Masters trip was more than a casual appearance. It was a masterclass in being human at the highest level of fame. This wasn't about dominance. This was about depth. And what she gave fans in return was a refreshing reminder that even the biggest stars need moments to just breathe. At Augusta, Caitlin Clark found herself in a rare position, not the star attraction, but a curious observer. And yet, she quickly became the story. From the moment she appeared on camera, social media lit up. News outlets posted screenshots, and fans began sharing her quotes like gospel. But this wasn't the typical highlight reel or game-winning stat line. This was a young woman in awe of her surroundings, humbled by the tradition and elegance of a place she'd only seen on TV. Without a basketball in hand, she wasn't leading a team or chasing a championship. She was just Caitlin, soaking in the magic of a place that generations of fans dream of visiting. And that was the moment everything changed. Because even in that quieter role, she captivated people. Her presence raised questions. Why was she there? What did it mean? Was this a new chapter for the WNBA star? But the real takeaway wasn't her presence. It was her presence of mind. She wasn't performing. She was appreciating, reflecting. And that shift in perspective is what made this Masters weekend one of the most talked about off-court moments of her career. Basketball fans know Caitlin Clark as the poised, fearless shot caller who thrives under pressure, silences crowds, and thrives in chaos. But at Augusta, a different Caitlin emerged, one who felt nerves walking the course, who admitted to being more anxious as a spectator than she ever is during a high-stakes game. She wasn't mic'd up for a scripted feature. She wasn't posing for the cameras. She was talking freely, vulnerably, about what it feels like to be outside her comfort zone. And in doing so, she did something few elite athletes do. She let us in. She talked about the fans being so close you could feel their breath. She joked about nearly killing someone with a bad shot. But the honesty struck a different tone. It showed that even someone as composed as Clark is still susceptible to the humbling power of new challenges. And in a world where athletes are often taught to project strength above all, Clark's openness was a welcome shift. She didn't try to hide her nerves, she embraced them. And that's the kind of leadership that resonates far beyond the court. While many view golf as a sport of precision, patience, and plaid pants, Caitlin Clark sees it as something much deeper, therapy. She described the peace it brings, the way the silence of a golf course counterbalances the roar of an arena. For someone constantly under a microscope, constantly demanded to deliver, golf is where she goes to unplug. It started young. Her first set of clubs were pink, bright, and impossible to miss. She wasn't good, but she was hooked. And the draw wasn't about competition. It was about space, solitude, breath. She compared it to a battle with yourself, a space where the only opponent is the voice in your head. And in a life filled with expectations, that self-competition has become her favorite kind. She called golf a mental reset, a way to step out of the lights and into something slower, more reflective. And the irony? That it might just make her a better basketball player. Because in quiet, she finds clarity. In focus, she finds joy. And in hitting one good shot after 10 bad ones, she's reminded that growth doesn't always look like domination. It often looks like patience. Caitlin's entire offseason took a surprising turn. She turned Augusta's hills into what she called her preseason conditioning. She laughed about being sore, about walking the course as a workout, and about balancing that with indulgence. From chicken salad sandwiches to peach ice cream, she tasted everything, literally and metaphorically. She talked like a fan, acted like a kid in a candy shop, and reminded us all why experiences matter more than performance. And while the rest of us might look at Augusta as a golf pilgrimage, Caitlin experienced it as a recharge. Her off-season wasn't packed with double days and film sessions. It was filled with laughter, memories, and a reconnection to the part of sport that's supposed to be fun. But even in fun, she found structure. She studied merch hauls on TikTok. She plotted her purchases. She packed for the weather. And somehow, even her downtime felt like a blueprint for balance. This wasn't laziness, it was intentional leisure. And it's that kind of decision-making that shows how athletes can still evolve even when they're not grinding. In a move that shocked fans and thrilled Caitlin herself, she got to tee it up with some of the biggest names in the game: Nelly Korda, Annika Sorenstam, John Rahm. She didn't hold back in sharing how nervous she was. Sweaty palms, racing thoughts, the whole deal. But that's what made it special. These weren't staged moments for the cameras. These were real-life, holy crap, I'm here moments that make memories stick forever. She even admitted to nearly hitting someone with a bad shot, turning the moment into a self-deprecating punchline that only made fans love her more. And through it all, she remained a student. Watching swings, asking questions, observing body language. For someone used to being the one others watch, Caitlin flipped the script. She absorbed everything. Because even if she never plays competitively, her respect for greatness shines through. And just like she learned from basketball legends growing up, she now learns from golfers about patience, precision, and poise. It wasn't about scorecards or swing paths. It was about humility. And in those moments, Clark reminded everyone why learning never stops. It wasn't just the players who welcomed Caitlin Clark. It was the entire golf ecosystem. Brands sent clubs. Pros sent messages. Fans shared support. She noted how refreshing it was to be welcomed not as a celebrity, but as someone who simply cared. And in an industry often criticized for exclusivity, Caitlin's experience was a heartening reminder of golf's growing inclusivity. She didn't have to earn her place through swing speed. Her curiosity was enough. And the golf world responded in kind, offering encouragement, access, and enthusiasm. For Clark, it was more than a perk of fame. It was proof that crossover support is real. And as someone deeply committed to elevating women's basketball, she now finds herself amplifying women's golf too. That mutual respect between athletes across sports doesn't just build friendships, it builds fandoms. Suddenly, LPGA players had WNBA fans in their mentions, and vice versa. Caitlin became a bridge between communities. And that kind of cultural synergy doesn't happen often. But when it does, it has the power to change how audiences connect and how leagues grow. What started as a solo hobby quickly became a locker room trend. Teammates began asking Caitlin for tips, from how to hold a club to how to find a beginner-friendly course. Some were hesitant, others joking, but all were curious. And Caitlin, ever the leader, didn't hesitate. She started making plans for outings, suggesting public courses that wouldn't intimidate first-timers. She laughed about who would have the ugliest swing and who would end up buying all the snacks. But underneath the jokes was a sincere desire to build something. Not just golf games, but memories, culture, connection. And that's what makes Caitlin special, her understanding that leadership doesn't stop at the final buzzer. It's in every shared experience, every inside joke, every new hobby that creates bonds. By making golf fun, accessible, and unthreatening, she's opening a door for others to step through. And in a league where connection fuels performance, those rounds might just be the key to chemistry that translates on the court. While most describe Augusta in terms of fairways and pimento cheese, Caitlin's description struck deeper. She talked about presence, about what it feels like to exist in a place where no one's looking at their phone, where every eye is focused on the moment and every movement feels sacred. For a generation raised on screens, that kind of environment is jarring in the best way. She noticed how golfers interacted with fans, how small the course feels when you're walking it, and how the absence of noise allows you to feel everything more intensely. She wasn't there for content, she was there for clarity. And what she found was a kind of emotional reset that very few places offer. As someone who lives her life in high-definition, fast-forward motion, Augusta slowed her down. It humbled her. It inspired her. And most importantly, it reminded her why she fell in love with sport in the first place. Not for the lights, but for the moments that leave you speechless. Caitlin Clark came to Augusta without a mission, but she left with a message. That greatness isn't just measured in stats, trophies, or headlines. It's also found in curiosity, humility, and the quiet pursuit of new passions. Her viral trip wasn't about branding. It was about being present, being vulnerable, being someone who still gets starstruck and still wants to get better. She reminded the sports world that the best athletes aren't just great in their sport, they're students of all of them. And in that mindset, they grow not just as players, but as people. Whether she's teeing it up with legends or teaching her teammates how to swing, Clark is building something much bigger than a highlight reel. She's building culture. She's bridging sports. She's inviting new fans into new arenas. And through it all, she's proving that the real magic happens when stars stop trying to shine and just start showing up.